Okay, welcome back. Now we're going to look at the 6 trigonometric functions again, but this time we're going to go from the perspective of a right triangle. So think of the unit circle again, and think of mostly that first quarter of the unit circle. So visualize the unit circle here, and we're zooming in. Here's 0, 0, and here's an angle theta, and here's a point on the circle. So for every point on the circle, we can construct a right triangle involving x and y and the radius. Okay? So have that kind of in the back of your mind for a moment. But from the perspective of a right triangle, we have an acute angle, right? So in this case here, theta is between 0 and 90 degrees, or pi over 2. Okay, if you're talking about radians. Okay, so we're in the first quadrant, and so we can look at all of the trigonometric functions. So let me write those down. In fact, let me start with the first 3. Okay, so now before we start looking at the ratios of these, notice that we have an acute angle, theta, and then the sides are labeled as how they relate to theta. So we've got the adjacent side, which is next to theta. So we have the 2 legs of the right triangle and the hypotenuse. The side that's next to the angle, that's the adjacent side, and then we have the side that's opposite theta. Okay, so that's the relationship that we want. Now, we also know that since we're dealing with the first quadrant, all the angles, the trigonometric functions are positive. Okay? So if we let theta be an acute angle of a right triangle, here is how we define the 6 trigonometric functions. Okay? So we'll start with the first 3. It's going to be, for sine, it's going to be the opposite over the hypotenuse. For cosine, it's going to be adjacent over the hypotenuse. And for tangent, it's going to be opposite over adjacent. Okay, now just realize that the other 3 trigonometric functions are the reciprocals of these. So if I go to cosecant theta and I go to secant theta and then cotangent theta, then cosecant is a reciprocal of sine, so that's going to be what? Hypotenuse over opposite. Secant is the reciprocal of cosine, so that's going to be hypotenuse over adjacent. And then cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent, so it's going to be adjacent over opposite. And that's how we define the 6 trigonometric functions based on the right triangle. And so again, you want to make sure that you memorize these. One way to memorize these is to memorize SOHCAHTOA. So SOHCAHTOA comes from the relationship of the first 3, okay? right? So if we take these, right, you can get so, what? Ka, toa. SOHCAHTOA. So sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, tangent is opposite over adjacent. So if you memorize that, then that'll give you the first three, and just realize the other three are just reciprocals of the first three. All right. Have a great day.